What would you do if someone watched you sleep every night without you knowing? This is the story of Hannah, a college sophomore who had just moved into an off-campus apartment. It wasn't much, just a single room with a bed, a desk, and one large window that faced the street. She loved her new independence, the quiet, and the thought that she finally had her own space. But within weeks, that sense of safety was gone. Hannah had a nightly habit. Before going to bed, she always closed her curtains tight. She was meticulous about it. But one morning, she woke up to find them slightly open, just a sliver. At first, she brushed it off. Maybe she forgot. Maybe the breeze. It was nothing, right? Then, one night at exactly 3 a.m., she woke up to a sound. Tap, tap. It was coming from the window. She tried to convince herself it was a tree branch, or maybe rain, but when she listened closely, it was steady, like someone knocking. And just like that, the tapping stopped. The next morning, shaken but curious, Hannah decided to set up a security camera, just to prove to herself that it was nothing, just her imagination. When she checked the footage the next day, her heart nearly stopped. At exactly 3:17 a.m., a figure appeared in the corner of the screen, tall, motionless, standing right outside her window, its face pressed against the glass, watching her as she slept. And when she fast-forwarded, she realized the figure wasn't just there that night. It had been there every night at exactly 3:17. Hannah's stomach dropped. She hadn't just been imagining things. Someone had been coming, watching her every single night. But the most terrifying detail was still to come. On the final night, she checked. The video showed the figure not outside, but inside, standing over her bed at 3:17 a.m. No one ever saw the figure again. Hannah moved out the very next morning, leaving everything behind. To this day, she refuses to sleep in a room with a window. And if you ever wake up to the sound of tapping at your window, whatever you do, don't look. Would you ignore a wrong number if they knew your name? This is the story of Emily, a 28-year-old woman living alone in a quiet apartment complex. At first, it was just a text from an unknown number, nothing unusual. But soon, those texts turned into something darker, something that made her question whether she was truly alone. One evening, while unwinding after work, Emily's phone buzzed. The message was short. "Where are you?" Thinking it was a mistake, she replied politely, "Sorry, I think you have the wrong number." Seconds later, another text. "No, I don't. I know you." Emily froze. She glanced around her living room. The curtains were drawn, the lights dim. She brushed it off as some kind of prank, but then another message arrived, describing exactly what she was wearing at that very moment. Emily's chest tightened. She lived on the second floor. No one should be able to see her from outside. She dropped her phone and rushed to check the windows. Locked. The door secure. Shaking, she blocked the number. Silence. But the next day, another text came. Different number. Same message. "Where are you?" And then another and another. Each time she blocked them, they returned, always watching. always describing her in real time. Days turned into weeks. Emily stopped responding. She hoped ignoring it would make it stop. But one evening, coming home from work, she noticed something strange. A piece of paper taped to her apartment door. Her heart pounded as she unfolded it. Written in messy handwriting were the words, "I don't need your number to find you." Emily dropped the note and stumbled backward. Whoever this was, they weren't just texting her. They knew where she lived. She reported it to the police, but without proof of who was behind the messages, there wasn't much they could do. They suggested changing her number and staying alert. Emily did, but the silence that followed wasn't comforting. It was suffocating. Because even though the texts had stopped, she couldn't shake the feeling of eyes on her, watching, waiting, somewhere in the dark. To this day, Emily never found out who sent those messages, or who left that note. Was it a stalker, a prank, or something far more sinister? Sometimes the scariest thing isn't a stranger knocking at your door, but knowing they might already be inside your life. Imagine someone walking behind you for weeks and never saying a word. This is the story of Daniel, a 26-year-old who worked late shifts in the city. Every night he walked home along the same route, quiet streets, empty sidewalks, and the hum of distant traffic. For months it was routine, until he noticed he wasn't walking alone. At first he thought it was a coincidence. Maybe another night worker, someone heading in the same direction. But night after night, no matter how late he left, the sound of footsteps followed. Always the same pace. Always the same distance. Daniel tried little tricks to lose him, walking faster, crossing the street, ducking into convenience stores. But when he stepped out again, the figure was there. Never close enough to touch, never far enough to vanish. Just there. One night, fed up and trembling with adrenaline, Daniel spun around and shouted, "Why are you following me?" The figure stopped. They didn't move. They didn't speak. Just stared. A dark outline against the pale streetlight, head slightly tilted. Daniel's skin crawled. He waited for a response, but the silence stretched longer than he could bear. Finally, heart racing, he turned back and ran the rest of the way home. The next day, trying to shake the fear, Daniel checked his mailbox. Inside was an envelope. No name, no address. Just one thing, a Polaroid photograph. His blood ran cold as he pulled it out. It was a picture of himself, walking home the night before. Daniel never saw the silent follower again. But sometimes late at night, when he walks past that same street light, he swears he can hear footsteps just a few steps behind him. And he can't help but wonder who took that picture.